My parents are both Holocaust survivors. They survived the Nazis. They were both boyfriend and girlfriend growing up in Hamburg from upper middle class families when Hitler took everything from them. And my mother escaped on the Kindertransport, which was the shipment of Jewish kids to England, where the ships would land in the middle of the night and couples would sweep down on the beach and pick up the kids and take them and rescue them or enslave them or somewhere in between. That was my mother. It was 1939. She was 16. And my father escaped through Denmark to New York. And then World War II breaks out, and my father enlists, gets automatic citizenship, and they ship him right overseas. Why? Because he was from Germany, spoke German, spoke French, fighting the Nazis in big-time battles, earth-shattering battles, Battle of the Bulge, Battle of Remagen Bridge. And in World War II, they did what they called carpet bombing. There were no smart bombs. They just took an area and bombed the crap out of it. Women, children, goats, everybody died. And of course, the GIs were subject to that as well. It was horrible. War was horrible for him. Even though he was fighting evil, it was still pretty bad. So when he came back a very wise, compassionate man. I was born several years later in 1950, but by then, both of my parents had some pretty bad PTSD from what they went through. They didn't have PTSD back then. They didn't diagnose it. It wasn't a mental health disorder. They just knew that people were messed up in the head. And so when I was a very young kid, my parents had no money, and I was being raised in a tenement in Manhattan by my parents, who were walking around the house at night, couldn't sleep, muttering to themselves, crying, etc. And it made me a very angry young kid, rageful, getting into trouble, blah, blah, blah. And, but my father started telling me that our purpose on the planet, now this is a man who'd been through all that war, the Holocaust, the purpose on the planet is to help other human beings. And he kept reciting that to me. He would say things like, okay, the world is equally balanced between good and evil, and what you do during the day tips the scales one way or the other. And if you can internalize that, then you understand what you should be doing every day. Doesn't matter whether you're a doctor, an undertaker, a teacher, or unemployed. Doesn't matter. You understand what your purpose and meaning in life is helping other human beings. I didn't really understand that. I didn't really get that. I became a lawyer because I went to jail protesting the war in Vietnam. I was in solitary confinement with some friends of mine. And I realized that I thought I went to jail because of that jail, went to become a lawyer because of that jail experience. But it really wasn't true. I became a lawyer because I couldn't go back in time and fix the bad stuff that happened to my parents, right? I couldn't get the boot of the government off my parents' neck, but I could for future generations. I could for my clients.